Hi there, beautiful souls. Grada Robertson here. I'm the co-founder of the Purple House Wellness Center in Forth, and every Tuesday I share some findings with me or things that I focused on during the week with my clients. And today I've been inspired to talk to you about childhood trauma. So childhood trauma is at the root cause of all chronic diseases, and this is something that I see regularly in my work because I work as a trauma specialist, and of course I have to find the root causes of where this trauma starts. And so for many years, in fact already 2 decades that I've worked with clients, I've realized, well, this didn't start 2 years ago or like even 6 months ago. Most of our chronic ill health problem root causes start between age conception and age 7. So that's a big secret that nobody will tell you about. But then this week I came across a really interesting scientific study that was conducted quite a while ago actually by medical doctors. And I have put it in my little write-up so you can look it up yourself. You can Google it. It's called the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, done by Dr. Vince Filetti. And he interviewed or studied over 17,500 people for adverse childhood experiences. Adverse, he calls it Adverse Childhood Experiences, or ACE. And what he discovered that people who did have to do, and the majority of people, apparently more than 60%, did suffer from adverse childhood experiences, which includes trauma, neglect, abandonment, and many other things, separation, rejection. Those people were at risk of shortening their lifespan by 20 years. That's a lot, isn't it? Like, imagine if you potentially could live to 100 years, but because of your childhood, now you're going to die at age 80. But actually more likely it's to be younger, of course. Most people probably live till about 84 or 82, early 80s anyway. So if you have experienced this in your childhood, you could likely die in your 60s. And this is something that I work with every day. I work to dissolve and resolve and reverse those experiences of negative childhood, whether it's abuse, mistreatment, rejection, abandonment, war, sexual abuse. So many varieties of trauma happens to children, even at present, even right now in this moment. And there are government agencies in the US who know this, and they're working at preventing this sort of thing happening with children, but it's actually, of course, very difficult to prevent. So I work on the other end of the spectrum. I work with people of all ages, and it's never too late to resolve your childhood issues, right? So childhood issues, they don't disappear. That's what I want you to know. They don't just go away just because you stop thinking about it, or they don't just go away because you found a wonderful partner and now you have a good life, your circumstances have changed. Simply what happens is they go deeper into your tissues, right? So it's really fair to say for me that if you have cancer or autoimmune problems, or rheumatoid arthritis, or other very serious health issues, that means you have issues in your tissues. That means emotionally you are not healthy. And I'm not just talking about on the surface emotions. I'm talking about the deepest, darkest corner in your nervous system, where your childhood memories are that you've repressed. And so this study showed people that actually remembered their experiences, but just as not as many people don't remember their experiences. In fact, many people have had really traumatic experiences in their childhood, and they can't even remember them, but they just have a sense of unease in their body, or it shows up as maybe you're a people pleaser, maybe you're always in fight and flight, maybe you can't relax, maybe you can't remember that, maybe you're a workaholic, you have addictions, your relationships don't work for you, and of course your health breaks down. So here's another interesting thing that I want to share with you that maybe you don't know. When I first started to see clients in the year 2000, so maybe between the year 2000 and 2010, when I was busy with clients, Peter and I, we had a golden rule that we had discovered from seeing thousands of clients, that if people had like repressed childhood memories, they would start to bubble up around age 40. So like age 40 seemed to be the cut-off point. Between 40 and 50, suddenly women, I see a lot of women, so let's just talk about women. Women would suddenly remember, oh, I suddenly remember Uncle such and such, or the neighbor, or when I was at that party, I was molested by such and such. And those memories were repressed up until that point. And that was usually would coincide with their health breaking down. So they would get a mysterious disease, or like suffer from chronic headaches or chronic aches and pains, because the body is literally crying out, saying, I don't have energy anymore to push these memories under, right? I've run out of energy, I don't. And now they're coming to the foreground. So I can talk to you about this for hours, probably, because it's one of my things that I feel most passionate about in helping people. I want to get to their childhood traumas. I want to dig out what you can't remember, and I can do it very quickly without you having to re-experience it. I can give you feedback as well and tell you that all wasn't well when you were in your mom's tummy, or whenever it was in your early childhood. And we can delete the traumatic energy charge that's in your body that creates illnesses. I can delete it and dissolve it very, very quickly and explain to you what just happened, right? And you will immediately feel more peaceful, calm, and your immune system will then get a chance to recover. So I guess what I'm saying is that if you do know you've had difficulty in your childhood, if there was any form of neglect, or your parents separated, or any form of abuse, or abandonment issues or separation, or please do come and see me, even if you feel healthy now, because the science that's done by the medical science even backs up my work, that by the time you reach 40 or 50, your health is going to break down faster. And I wrote down the numbers actually, but I won't bore you with the percentages. But you have triple the risk of heart disease, lung cancer. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff there that I can't just reel off, but I'll put it in the article. So, but even if you are sick, you will never heal properly without addressing these issues, right? You can have chemotherapy, you can go into remission, but it's going to come back if you don't deal with what created it in the first place. And the further back you go into your life, the more powerful the memory, the more powerful the effect is of the memory. So for instance, I can even be talking about when you're a baby. So maybe I think this is what happened to me, right? So all my worst experiences in my life happened around my birthday. And by the way, my worst experience was at age 43, just before I turned 44, when I got hit by a truck. It was just before my birthday, and of course that nearly killed me, right? So at the time I didn't connect that many dots, because of course I had to recover first. I didn't have the luxury of hindsight yet. So then 2 years after the accident, around my birthday, it was actually on my birthday this time, I had a mental breakdown. So I experienced a psychotic split. This was on my birthday when I was 46. I think I just turned 46. And so then I went into the depths of a mental breakdown. My mind was broken, and I've actually just released the book. It's on Amazon, and it's called The Underbelly, and it goes into the 7-year period of my life where I really struggled with many things that I had to unravel for me to get better. I called it The Underbelly because there's a lot of darkness in that. So it's Grada Robertson, The Underbelly. So that's a sequel to You Were the Miracle. And then 7 years after that, in 2013, I nearly died again around my birthday, and this time from an acute bowel blockage as a result of the accident still, and I needed urgent surgery. I needed surgery, otherwise I would have died a horrible death. And so, of course, many years later, when I think about this, I go, well, what is the common factor in all of that? Well, it's actually on around the 10th of January when I was born. So maybe my birth was really, really traumatic for me, right? But I think in those days when babies were born, you were put, as soon as you came out, you were hung upside down and your bottom was smacked, right? Because people thought it was good, it cleared out your lungs, and then you took a deep breath in, and they thought babies don't feel anything. And so I've had to heal a punishment program that was really, really deep in my subconscious mind. So when we're talking about your deepest subconscious mind here, that runs the show when you're asleep, when you go all night and all day. These are not your general thoughts, these are the deepest thoughts that you're not conscious of. And so some of these thoughts, and they all start with trauma. So they can be like, oh, you don't deserve all this success. With more joy comes more suffering. We need to up the scales because you've had too much good luck in your life. Now you better have some suffering or some punishment, or you're not worthy, you don't deserve this. These are all come from childhood trauma, and there are many, many more. Of course, you don't deserve safety, security, you don't deserve miracles, and so on. So like this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the deeper programs that happen in our subconscious mind. And so it's really hard healing yourself and finding those patterns yourself, and it's my life's work. So this is what I do all day long. I research, I work with clients, I meditate, I write, I journal, because I want to find the answers and connect the dots, not just for me, but for everyone else. I listen to coaches, I attend seminars, and I study, and I want people to stop suffering if I can help them, right? So I always want to find the big root causes that are there. I want to go really, really deep under the surface and find what's going on. So I'm talking about the inner child as well. So a name for this work would probably be inner child work. And so when we have suffered a form of neglect or abuse, I think what happened to me as a little baby, it was the middle of winter in Holland when I was born, and I know my mom had a habit of putting her babies in the bedroom upstairs, wrapped up really, really tight with like lots of nappies and stuff, so we couldn't move. Baby couldn't move because there was no heating upstairs, and it was probably 0 degrees or less in the bedroom. And so my mum would feed us 4 hourly. Sorry, I'm starting to choke. So there's still some emotion going on. And so she probably practiced what we now call controlled crying. And that just means that the child thinks, my life doesn't matter. I deserve neglect. I deserve to be ignored. When I cry, nobody's going to listen. So what is the point of crying, right? And then later on, sometimes, if we cried, like when we were toddlers and older, my father would give us a hiding because crying was annoying to him. He didn't like it. So these are all unnatural behaviors, and I'm not blaming my parents. This is absolutely not about my parents, because I love my parents very much. This is about acknowledging to my inner child that some damage was done and some steps need to be taken. So when you work with me, I can help you uncreate all the trauma from your body so you can have a good life. I have a really, really good life now, right? So my body is recovered. I went from being paralyzed, literally from lying flat on the bed with a colostomy bag and a catheter because I was paralyzed. Like people that are paralyzed, they have to have all those contraptions. I'm now fully recovered. I went from lying on a bed to a wheelchair, and then I was walking again, and then I was able to go back seeing clients. And I also overcame mental illness. So mental illness was for me another useful step at the time to unravel the trauma, which comes in many layers. So I just wrote down some steps for you though, like how this works. For you, for everyone, that are necessary. So the first thing that needs to happen is, if there's an area of your life that isn't working for you, like in my case, obviously, I suffered a lot with my physical health and mental illness as well. But for you, it could be money, or it could be relationships, or it could be your health or purpose in life. Just think of one area of your life that you feel like, I should be doing a lot better, but it's just not working. Something isn't happening right. All right, so that's number one. Then number two, you need to do lots of meditation in stillness, like find stillness and bring your attention back into your body. Because childhood trauma causes you to leave your body. Like, it's safer to be out of there. It's safer to be interested in other people's life. It's safer to be interested in world affairs or other people's stories, or so your attention is always hooked to dramas and other things out there that are more interesting than what's going on the inside. So that needs to change. And for a lot of people, it's not safe to go back into the bodies and connect with the bodies, but this is a necessary step for healing. You know, I work with people that are seriously ill, right? And sometimes I'll say, okay, have you done this or that? And in regards to doing their inner work, and they'll say, oh yes, I did that once, and I got a message, yes, so I know what that's about. But I want you to know that you don't do this once, right? You do this every day, because you have to get your body to know your body as well as you get to know the Prime Minister. No, better, of course, that's silly. But it's more important for you than finding out how much the petrol prices are or anything like that. Get to know the internal world. And you're going to feel safer and safer the more you do it. So that takes practice, right? And then you need to get to a point, this is the third step, where you're willing to face the truth about yourself. So you finally stop blaming other people or your circumstances. You stop blaming the cancer or the doctor, and you want to find out the truth of who you are and what created these circumstances for you, right? What stops you from multiplying your money. And then you need to find help. You absolutely do need to find help from an expert. So I'm an expert, for instance, and if you work with an expert, that can literally save you 20 years. You can live for 20 years longer according to the study, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel, because I've already done that, right? I've bled in the trenches, or other people who've literally bled in the trenches as well and studied. And so I can also tune into your body with my clairvoyant or clairsentient or whatever, clairaudient, whatever you like to call that, skills and gifts that I've developed over the years. So I listen to you and I listen to your body at the same time. So your body will always nurture a bigger truth, right, than what's going on here. Your body will tell me the absolute truth about your circumstances. And usually I will feed that back to you if it's appropriate. So the safer you feel in your body, of course, the safer you're going to feel in your life, safe and secure, and that is the new foundation for you to thrive, no matter what circumstances you are. I've seen so many people make a comeback, even from the worst situations, and they make a comeback and they're living happy, fulfilled lives today. And then the last step is that you put in 100% commitment and willingness to do the work. So like, the work can be some things that I point out to you that I'll say you absolutely must address this and you really have to do it. Or what your higher self will tell you, or you will know what it requires. At some point you're going to have to actually take action as well to create the lasting changes in your body. And then once you're through this spiral, or you've increased in wisdom, you have evolved, and of course the whole journey as humans is for us to evolve, as humans, as individuals, and humanity as collective being, we are meant to be evolving, not devolving. So there are lots of ways to do that. There are many ways to address childhood issues, which is really at the bottom, at the root cause of all your stuckness in life. There might be another layer underneath that, and that's like the karmic issues, so like from previous lifetimes that you've lived and from your ancestors. But usually your own childhood issues will activate them. You often are born with all that information dormant in your body, and then something happens in your childhood, and now suddenly your soul will release some sort of karmic issue, a contract, or a soul fragment that you've lost. Or this is all to do with you becoming more whole than you were when you came into the world. So your soul has signed up for another lifetime because it wants you to evolve as a spirit, and it wants you to reach a bigger degree of wholeness, of happiness, of sacredness, of purpose, of fulfillment than you've ever experienced before. And it's an unfolding that happens. That's beautiful when you're conscious of it, right? So life is much more than just eating, drinking, going to bed, having a bit of fun, having Christmas and all the rest. It's about you evolving as a human being, discovering how valuable you are, how precious you are, how precious this lifetime is, how great your gift is, how much you have to contribute, how big your light is, and it's for you to have the courage to shine it brighter as well. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, but I hope that you can relate to some of this. That at the bottom of everything, where the brakes are on in your life, are childhood issues. This is not something that's known or acknowledged by most doctors yet, but the medical world is now diving into that as well and confirming what I've been seeing for many years already in my clinic. So please do come and see me sometime, and I work remotely as well, which happens just as easily as if you were in my room. Sometimes I think remote work is when you're on the other side of the world, or somewhere you can't literally be in the room here with me. It works just as easy or even more clearer, and all that energy can be shifted out. Hope you enjoy this, and thanks for tuning in, everyone. I really appreciate it. Let me know if this rings a bell, if it strikes a chord. Let me know what's going on for you. I'm interested to hear, and I look forward to being with you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great week. Bye. Big love from me. Bye.